Parshas Emor, Tavshin Ayin Gimel. This parsha also, aside from talking about the Kaihanim at the beginning of the parsha, we also talk about all the Yom Tovim. This week, actually the second half of the parsha will be very familiar to a lot of people because we lane it just about every Yom Tov, and it's very familiar laning, and it's very familiar in Yonim. We discussed in Yonim what we do each of the Yom Tovim. And the parsha starts as follows. Vayidaber Hashem al Moshe Emor, Daberu b'nei Yisrael v'amarto aleihem, Moyadei Hashem, asher tikru'u oisam mikroi kodesh, Elehei Moyadei. And in the next pasuk, Sheishes Yom Te'aseh Malacha, Uvayoyim HaShvi'i Shabbat Shabbosoin Mikra Kodesh. Interesting to note how in each of the psukim we use a lashon first in the first pasuk of Mikroi Kodesh, and in the second pasuk a lashon of Mikra Kodesh. So we really need to understand why Shabbos and Yom Tov are called Mikroi Kodesh. Why aren't they just like any other mitzvah in the Torah? Shabbos and Yom Tov are, first of all, a positive mitzvah, and it should be like any other mitzvah. And aside from that, there are also Isurim, things that you cannot do on Yom Tov. It should be like every other Isur in the Torah. Why does it get a special billing, a special word, Mikroi Kodesh, when we talk about Yom Tov? Another thing that we have to ask is, how do we say that a Yom Tov, a day, becomes something with Kedusha, something which is a Mikroi Kodesh? We know that Kedusha has to be Chal on a Dover Sheyesh Boi Mamash. It has to be something tangible. On something tangible, we know Kedusha is Chal. How do we say Mikroi Kodesh, that we call a day of Yom Tov, it now has Kedusha? What's a day? How do we define a day? What is a day? So Nesivos Shalom answers these questions with Akdama. And he says like this: we're coming now in a few weeks to the Yom Tov of Shavuos, and we know one of the points of Shavuos, the tafkid and the goal of Klal Yisrael through the Midbar, Klal Yisrael today, is the Atem Tiyu Li Mamleches Koyanim V'Goy Kadosh. Again, we use this word Kadosh. It's a tafkid, and what do we see from here? That Gedula, to strive to be something great, is not something that's, it's not something that it's just nice to strive for. Kedusha, which is something that every Yid tries to grow into, it's the essence of our being. V'atem tiyu mamleches koyanim v'goy kadosh. We strive to be. That's what a Yid is supposed to strive to do, and you're supposed to strive to be a kadosh. So how is it actually possible? HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us, "V'atem tiyu mamleches koyanim v'goy kadosh." How is it possible that in this olam hazeh it's possible to have a metzias of Kedusha? We know in Olam Hazeh, you look around, it seems that everything seems to be a stira to Kedusha. And yet, as Yidden, we have a tzivui that we should be a Goy Kadosh. How does a person accomplish being a Kadosh, a Goy Kadosh in Olam Hazeh? So Nesivos Shalom answers that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent down 3 different mediums, and we spoke about this a number of times, 3 different ways where a person can grab onto the Kedusha, and from that you hold on to it and you grow, and it becomes part of you. And he says those 3 things on 3 different words. He calls it Olam, Shana, and Nefesh. Hashem sent down 3 different ways of Kedusha, and through those ways it channels to us to become people that are Kadosh. In the world, in the Olam, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu put in the Olam that the Kedusha spreads forth? Parshas. HaKadosh Baruch Hu put the Beis HaMikdash in the world, and from the Beis HaMikdash, from there it sprang forth Kedusha. And in the year, in Shana, what's the thing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us to help out with Kedusha in the Shana? Zok and Nesivos Shalom, those are the Shabbosos v'Yom Tovim. And those, anyone who wants to grow in Kedusha, if we want to follow this tzivui of becoming someone who is Kaddish, we go to the wellspring of Kedusha that we can reach, and what is that? That's a Shabbos and a Yom Tov. HaKadosh Baruch Hu put Shabbos and Yom Tov in this world that we can draw from it. he brings down a Reishis Chachma, beautiful pshat. He says that Shabbos is the shirish of all kedusha. He says we say in the pasuk, "Vayivarech Elokim es Yom HaShvi'i vayikadesh Osai." HaKadosh Baruch Hu put inherently into Shabbos this kedusha, and from that kedusha, we are able to take from that kedusha and have it spread, so to speak, onto us. And the same thing is with the Yom Tovim, and that is why the Torah calls them Mikroi Kodesh. The Torah calls Yom Tovim Mikroi Kodesh, because you're able to go to that wellspring of kedusha. You're able to get in touch with it, and you draw the kedusha from there for the entire year. We want to be Mamlechus Kohen Mikroi Kodesh. We want to be holy people. We have to have a place where it starts. Hashem tells us Mikroi Kodesh. Get in touch with the kedusha of a yontif, and from that it can go and spread throughout the whole year for you. It's brought down from the Nesivos Shalom brings down from the Kabrina Rav. He says, Techila l'mikroi kodesh. We say in the Kiddush Friday night, Techila l'mikroi kodesh. What does it mean? Techila means, he says, Techila in the Kiddush means that anyone who wants to grow in Kedusha, Techila l'mikroi kodesh. That Shabbos and Yontif are the beginning for Mikroi Kodesh. You want to grow in Kedusha, Techila, that's the place to start. You want to know, you want to have a hint where to start with Shabbos and Yontif. And then there's Nefesh. The third thing, right? We said in the Olam, and then we said in the Shana, and then there's in the Nefesh. What is it? How do we explain it in the Nefesh Kedusha and the Nefesh of a Yid? HaKadosh Baruch Hu set up the world. The Gemara says in Gemara says Yuma Daf Lamed Tes Amud Aleph, the following memra: Adam mekadesh es atzmoi milamata. If a person is mekadesh himself milamata, then mekadesh noisei milamala. And the memra continues: Adam mekadesh atzmoi ma'at. If you put a little effort into it and you mekadesh yourself a little bit, mekadesh noisei harbe. That we give you a lot of kedusha. That if a person just makes the effort and he grabs onto kedusha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu helps you all the way up to the point where you can become a goy kadosh. But you have to start. And even in Olam Hazeh, we asked, how's it possible in Olam Hazeh? That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling us. That even in Olam Hazeh, where everything seems like it's a stira to kedusha, and it's soitza to kedusha, even over here, if you put in the effort and you get started, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you the siyata d'shmaya where you can be mekadesh yourself, mikroi kodesh. You can start from there, be mekadesh yourself totally. First, the Nesivos Shalom says though, but there's a way to do it. A person has to be first sur meirah. You can't expect to become a person that is full of kedusha until you sur meirah. First, you have to go and do and get and turn away from the bad things that you do, and then we do the asay toiv. As long as the person is still busy with his taivas and doing averas, then the kedusha can't stick. And you have the kedusha of Shabbos and Yontif cannot happen unless a person is first sur meirah, unless he first turns around from the things that he shouldn't be doing. And that's one reason the Gemara Masechet Rosh Hashanah Tezayin Amud Beis says that chayiv adam l'taher atzmoi beregel. We just said mikroi kodesh, the yontif should be full of kedusha. So let me just come to the yontif. No, the halacha says chayiv adam l'taher atzmoi beregel. Before you come to the yontif, you have a chayiv of being mitayr yourself. In order to get the kedusha of yontif, you have to first take stock of yourself and be mitayr yourself first. Therefore, there's also a halacha that toivlin be'erev Shabbos. A person also, people are noyed to be toivl on erev Shabbos because the Shabbos is not automatic. It's full of kedusha. But in order for you to begin getting that kedusha, toivlin be'erev Shabbos. Before Shabbos begins, you have to forget about your taivas. Then you're able to connect. Now we have about 2.5 weeks to Shavuos. We're in the Yemei HaSfira. And these are the days where a person is really supposed to be preparing themselves for the Yontif of Shavuos and the Kedusha of Kabbalah HaTorah. We say on Yontif, of course, Zecher Litzias Mitzrayim. What's the Zecher Litzias Mitzrayim? That's Nageya to this. We need to remember Zecher Litzias Mitzrayim. Litzias Mitzrayim could also mean, Zot Nesivos Shalom, leaving the taivas of Mitzrayim, leaving the Masei Eretz Mitzrayim. When we come to Yontif, we say Zecher Liyitzias Mitzrayim. Just like in Mitzrayim, they removed themselves from the taivas and Avodah Zarah and all the bad things of Mitzrayim. So too, every Yontif comes, we have a Zecher Liyitzias Mitzrayim. To reach the Kedusha of Chag HaShavuos, there's only one way though. We have to prepare. It's not automatically that you come into Chag HaShavuos, and that's what it's telling you in this week's Parsha, Mikroi Kodesh. Yes, it's a place where we go to the well. You go to the wellspring of Kedusha, you can do it out. But first, you need to be Sur Meirah. First you have to prepare. And then each person becomes Misugal for the spreading of Kedusha. And we have to be ready for it. We have to be ready to become a Goy Kadosh. Goy Kadosh, it's not automatically. But that's the reason why in each of the psukim it says Mikroi Kodesh, because it's an opportunity for us. And it's no coincidence that this parsha comes out 2-3 weeks before Shavuos every single year. It comes out at that time that a person knows, and a person knows that this is the time. You have 2 weeks left. It's the time to prepare. It's the time to go to the well and prepare ourselves in the Yemei HaSfira for the Chag HaShavuos that's coming. And that's Taka Pshat. Otherwise, it's a little bit tough to read the first couple of psukim in the parsha. Now we understand the words. Now we understand what a taka means. Mikroi Kodesh. It's not something that, it's not just the word that Shabbos is Kedusha. It's meant for us. It's meant for us to work on. It's meant for us to take advantage and use that Kedusha for ourselves to grow.